Thanks a lot. Thanks Lionel. Thanks Thierry for this introduction. And it's an important moment because, as Thierry explained, it's more than 35 years of experience working mainly in different companies. Like he said, I would have a slide and a deep and long experience in excellence operational, where it's for me a very excellent job. So very happy to be with OPEX people, very concerned by the topic. So what we will be doing during this, Thierry asked me to be with a high density presentation. So be prepared to give as many details as possible. The purpose is not to be dependent on 70-30. The purpose is really to give to all of you the 30 years of experience, and you will see already there is wordings that there is already in the explanation of Thierry, and I'm extremely proud of that. And we already go on the shop floor with several plants at that time. So I had the opportunity already to have the sense of the culture in the nuclear activity. So from now, we will go in this, so don't hesitate to take notes, even photo. But as you notice, there is a video. And in order to be able to share it largely, it will be shared and even more than internally, also because it's purely 70-30 explanation that we'll give right now, but it will be also accessible through YouTube. So like that, the access will be extremely easy. Okay. As Thierry said, that the experience is, I've been growing 15 years. I'm from Central France, Auvergne, Clermont-Ferrand. So it was quite natural to start with Michelin. And we talk a lot in performance system. We talk a lot about Toyota, but there is a lot of great companies that are doing lean implementation, organization implementation, and so on. Michelin is one of it. And they have worked a lot on empowerment of their team. Today, they have the same ratio, of management, but all the managers are on daytime. They don't have managers on night or on weekend, and they really empower the people. So like that, they are able to take the responsibility. They are able to take decision, and this is a real breakthrough. How we trust people, and this is a key element. I insist on one point. They don't change the ratio. It's not a cost cutting in the management part. Absolutely not. It's really to empower the people. Then I was extremely. I stay 15 years in Michelin, and I give and learn a lot. And I was very interested by the performance system, and I've been hooked by Faurecia, that was coached directly by Toyota. And it was extremely interesting, and it was highly oriented performance, of course, lead time, just-in-time plant, and it was for me something very new, because when you come from the tire industry and you go to automotive, it's really on-time delivery, and it's every single minute. So that changed a lot for me, the meaning. But it's something that can be applied in automotive and not everywhere. And I've been hooked by Danone, who wanted to, for France, they wanted to really raise up their level of performance, and they faced some difficulty. They had the best investment worldwide, but the French average on the efficiency was around 65, where the other company, the other Danone site outside of France, it could be in South America, everywhere, was around 85. So we were 20% below. And the purpose was to bring in Danone some of these tools, in Danone France, some of these tools. And that was the beginning of the story 70-30, because at that time, the purpose was to say, how can we bring high tools that are coming from automotive in a non-automotive industry? And that was for me a real challenge. I can tell you that we spend a lot of time to design. And from the experience and what Thierry just said, we did what we designed at that time, I keep it, and now it's for more than 20 years. So when I will show you the boards and so on that we are using, and you saw in the pictures of Belfort, these board and so on are 20 years old. And in fact, I say, this is not, the important is not to change the board, it's really to see what we put inside the board. So that was a huge learning. And after that, I've been hooked by PSA in order to implement this, because they were very curious about that. And I reached PSA at that time, just before Stellantis, before even the coming of Carlos Tavares. And the purpose was to bring this 70-30 culture and these boards and so on. And I did it in all the plants worldwide. And then engineering came to me and said, why we don't use something like that? I said, I don't know. So let's try. And we implement it in engineering. We implement it also in building new company, new plant, in order to have, and also in order for the start of new product with a methodology, maybe you already heard about that, a vertical startup, using this 70-30 ingredient inside. So for me, it was each time a surprise to say, could we use it? Say, okay, let's try, we'll see. And that was a true story. Below you can see some of the implementation, because of course, out of people from Danone, Faurecia and so on, people are moving to other plants. And there is places where I've been myself. Sometimes I'm called to say, okay, can you come and help us in order to give some additional point? And there is several areas where it's used, and several areas where, as Thierry said, I did also myself. I did some benchmark in order to capture some good practices in these different company. Just a question, because when the frame, could look a little bit the same, even if they are a little bit different. Here, the question is always, can we apply 70-30 outside of manufacturing? Because sometimes people think Gemba Tour, Gemba, things that, okay, we need to have a Gemba, so it means a plant, a site or whatever. And you will see in the wordings of 70-30, we talk about tour de terrain. And even for the translation worldwide, I kept tour de terrain because it was tour and terrain was very easy to understand worldwide. So we kept this. But tour de terrain, what does it mean? If you are in a plant, of course, it's on the shop floor. But if you are in the engineering, it's going to be your team. If you are in a purchasing department, it's going to be to call your suppliers and so on. So what is your Gemba? This is a question. And as Thierry said, this is important to be rigorous in this application. But the question is, what is your Gemba? Gemba is not necessarily a plant, a shop, with machining, with tools and so on. It can be your customer, it can be, if you are in HR, a large HR department, it can be your teams and giving some calls and doing some teams and so on in order to connect. So this is very important. So here, can we apply everywhere? Yes, I didn't face any difficulty on the mainstream, but also on the support function. So that was something very important. And second question that I already have, do we need a maturity? And in fact, I've been called in situation where the people didn't have even 5S. They didn't do. So it was a very typical production or non-production area with not necessarily processes and so on. And I've been applying this through these 70-30 tools. And the question is what we will be looking at. And you will see concretely with some example. As Thierry said, if there is no connection with performance, any tools of excellence, lean or whatever is meaningless. So if there is no connection with performance, people will quit, people will stop, and I would say this is right. If it doesn't bring you result, there is no value. So systematically, when I was doing some implementation, systematically I was asking for the main KPIs. And here you have some example of effect of the methodology. And when we talk about this 70-30, the first one, of course, is about safety. So you will find here the safety one, where through implementation like with the 70-30, I was very surprised. I would not expect that by the application we will face 2 years without accident. you know, and I'm quite proud to say that. Unfortunately, 2 years later, they face accident is accident. But it was very interesting. Autonomies here, this is very interesting, is with the application of this methodology and from the explanation of Thierry, you will find several keys that are already in the system of FPS and in this additional of this third version. Here you can see that autonomous was systematically when a person, an engineer, on an operation on the shop is facing difficulty, he will call his managers. And we say, why do we go systematically through the management? Could we go straight to quality? Could we go straight to maintenance? Could we go straight to technique? Could we go straight? So we try to identify how to be more responsive, you know. And we could see here that the call of manager was divided by 5. Divided by 5. So it means that the manager was 5 times less a call for small items where we could connect directly with people. And you will see exactly some of the example. Here it was in terms of quality. The same team. This is something that is important. Systematically, we didn't change the team. We didn't change the machinery or the product or whatever. And through the application, sometimes we have some doubt. Will it bring result? Here, we divide by 3 the non-quality. It was internal defect and it was division by 3. So when we go through this, I will go that on this one because I understood that a lot of you who went to Belfort. Yes, so many. Here, this is a graphic that we had in Belfort, which was very surprising. We'll see right after. And some on the operational efficiency and the environment as well. This one I already talked about it. It's about safety. What is interesting is when there is a workshop here and what we already plan in few plants, few weeks after here we can see the direct effect. And because how can we obtain such result is through synchronization. It's through clarification of ownership and responsibility, and we will dig in this one right after. This one is interesting. Some of you already heard about Belfort. You know they were with GE, using methodology of GE since a while. GE was doing their best, and one time they say, okay, we face some difficulty, and they contact me, say, okay, can you help us? So I went there in something like November. And I told them, okay, the right way is through your top management and then, of course, through all the managers and even non-managers. And we did a workshop. It is a 3 days workshop with the application of the 70-30, with the Gemba tour that was the tour de terrain that was not done the same way. And through the coaching, and here you can see the on-time delivery. It was back in 2021. The on-time delivery ramp up in few weeks from 60%, this is the graph from Belfort, from 60% to 75%, I would say to the 70s. And when you reach an element like that, of course, it will have an important impact on the daily life, because you imagine that when you are at 60%, there is a lot of rush everywhere. When you are at 70%, this is way different. And now through, that was coaching with the 70-30s coaching, and then it was internal coaching. So the purpose is not to have 70-30s all the time. No, this is a coaching. Here we do a coach. So we bring all the methodology, and then the team keep going. And we talk about the Kaizen event here. So it was additional growth in this matter. So that was the origin, and of course that saves a lot of time. People have less stress. And this is very important in order to be able to go in this direction of involvement of the people. Something key through this 70-30 methodology, and I will get in more detail, this is organization and human-centric. Okay? So don't ask 70-30 to design a machine. This is not the purpose. It's really through the organization, through the performance system, and exactly link with what we are doing these 2 days all together. We will have the opportunity here. This is a presentation. I will be part of the workshop after, and I will be with you for the 2 days. And of course, please, all the questions you have, I will be more than happy to answer all the questions in detail during these 2 days. So I will not get more in detail, but it's very much human-centric. Some already see here the disc, you know, Marston disc with the behavior related to the red, the blue, the green, and the yellow. And you can see also these colors in the logo 7030. The colors are inside. And one of the first elements that is essential, and I'm glad it's already in the FPS straight away. When we started systematically, I say, what is your target? And I didn't find better than the BIM with an S that I added later on, the BIM, where it's very important to have the breakthrough. And when everybody is focused on the breakthrough, and when everybody has that in this tour de terrain, I can tell you that the 30%, the improvement is by 30 to 50%. And systematically, you could see that in the graphic, and I have many other. I didn't want to spray a lot of numbers like that. But when everybody say, okay, we have problem of safety, and we will be doing in the tour de terrain daily safety talk and so on, of course, the impact is immediate. So if you decide lead time, if you decide a breakdown, if you decide whatever, non-quality, lack of documentation, you know, all the topics that you have, if everybody are in line with that, but there is a but, no more than 3. By experience, no more than 3. So you decide what are the 3 ones that you want to focus on. Of course not, we want to reduce cost. No, we need to be more precise than that, more than, you know, we want to reduce cost. The second one, as Thierry said, improvement. And by experience, and I will go back on this, SMQDCE is my blood color. SMQDCE, safety first. Okay, you got this one, I think. The second one is motivation. And through safety and motivation, we have the people. And after that, of course, quality, delay and delivery, cost and environment. So it means that when we decide with all the teams through the tour de terrain, through the meetings, daily meetings, to say, okay, this is a priority, systematically, I was able to measure minimum 10% of improvement on this different topic. It's important, many times, you know, when I get in a plan, I say, can you give me the priority? And I ask the same question to 5 people, and I have 5 different answers, you know. And they are all working for the company, no doubt about that, but they don't answer the same. So when you are very clear about that, this is essential. And we put, as you know, a poster in order to show exactly to everybody. So like that, they are able to remind over the year. So this is something very important. Maintain a big frustration. When I say, okay, did you do a 5S or whatever? Yes, we did, years ago. Where is it? You know, we had other priority. And to maintain, and here is the beginning of the 70-30s mindset, is okay for progress, but it's very important to maintain. And what we did in the past, it's very important not to do it again and again. So this maintain attitude is extremely important. And something that is very difficult to do, but extremely powerful. Sometimes we did things in the past that was great, you know, at that time. But now this meeting is not needed anymore. And there is even some overlap with other meetings, with other KPIs, like Thierry said, with other meetings and mail numbers of mail that we receive, report, and we lose a lot of time. So this is a decision to say, okay, this we will stop. And for example, there is a company I work with, they say, okay, we will stop the answer to everybody. And even in Outlook, they take out the option. You cannot answer to everybody. So it means like that, there is a reduction of numbers of mail that sometimes overlap the one either and each other. So the BIM is extremely important. And honestly, if you say to the person, and for me, it's even more than that, it's also respect. Because if you say to the guys, okay, we want to go there, and at the middle, you change the direction, people are prepared and say, okay, what's going on? We said that we go to the beach and finally we go to the mountain. I don't have in my luggage the right element. So it's very important to be consistent. And this is management. This is not technical or whatever. This is really management behavior that need to go inside. So we discuss a lot, and you will see that on the website, 7030. You go on the website 7030.fr, and you will find some explanation about that. So if you, I will show this, and I will put as detail as possible on this one. The first element, and this is of course 7030's equilibrium, and I will go back to this equilibrium right after, because it's a learning for more than 20 years. And each time I say, okay, maybe it was quite, something curious, but no, it come again and again. So it was for me something surprising. So when I decided to call my company 7030, all my colleagues say, okay, this is obvious. I just want to thank at that time, I've been working with more than 20,000 managers when I was in PSA worldwide. In Danone, and this is not my brain or my reading, this is really implementation on the shop floor and over these 20 years. So it was a lot of conversation and so on. And this 7030, there is many people that are using it. Okay, I put a copyright, but it's just to say, okay, to remember, it's not hazard. It was really something that we apply as a team. You understood this. Many times there is a wrong orientation. We are focused on performance, but immediate performance and not sustainable performance. That was my learning from Michelin, where they are really working on sustainable performance, and sometimes we are short-term, and this is very important in the KPI that we are choosing and in the coaching and the way to grow people. Now you are familiar with this SMQDCE. So I have some cards with me I will be able to give to some of you, and to set the priority, to set the BIMS out of this SMQDC is very important in order to clarify. One element that I could see, it's minimum weekly. The first is planification. I saw many times company where the planification was weak, and people all along the week, they try to improve and to replanify again and again. And there is a huge losses in this exercise. So when Thierry said that there is a frozen to froze, this is not the word I'm using. I'm talking about vitrification, okay? And I don't know if you understand vitrification. So what does it mean? It means that I put a KPI that is the numbers of changes of planning that we are doing every week, on a daily basis. But not changing only of planning of production or agenda, but also if we change the agenda of the people, if we change the product, if we change the documentation. So every changes that is on the next week, and we said we will do this during the week, every changes we record it. And I can tell you that when you put the light on a KPI like this one, people will ask, is it necessary? Oh yes, there is a minor improvement. Stop for minor improvement. If it was a big mistake, okay, we need to change. But if it's not a big mistake, you need to keep going and of course learning. And just by doing this, there is a huge saving in terms also of involvement of the people. The second one, this is very important. So I was talking about planification. The second one is about communication. Please don't let the corridor and the coffee machine doing the communication for you. This is a job of management, and you need to have a slot in the agenda. And we discussed with Thierry the morning agenda, but there is also some timing in the afternoon. And this is extremely important that the communication go to all the engineer, employees, operator, and so on through the management. And sometimes there is a weak point here, and we could see that the communication is done through the corridor, is done through the coffee machine, which is absolutely not good because we know that there is distortion in this. We don't need 2 hours. 15 minutes is fine on a daily base, on a weekly base, or in a briefing on a daily base. Having a briefing daily, this is essential in order to give the information. The last that I put with a lot of emphasis systematically, and that was a learning, is to have a coaching, co-development every week, and it's a kind of 30 minutes, but please listen to this, this is important. Many times we think that coaching is top-down, so it means that the coach is the manager, or it can be an OPEX person, great person, you will agree with that, or sure. Understand also that my learning was coaching can also be done by colleagues, you know, and sometime between quality, engineering, techniques, production, you can have horizontal coaching. So this is the culture of the feedback. And this is extremely important, and to just say, okay, let's spend 30 minutes and have a feedback, I would say a formal. When I say formal feedback, please don't be afraid by what I name by formal. It doesn't mean a huge documentation and so on, but it's a time where we say, okay, this is the feedback, this is my learning, and also this is my, my sharing, you know, in both sides. Okay, so this is something very, very important. This one is a game changer, escalation. Escalation shows that many times we are not clear about the responsibility of the different people. I want to make it clear for this one. This one is an effort document, okay, for the site, for the department and so on, for the unit. Effort to say that, okay, if we are, in terms of safety, of course, if there is accident, it's obvious. In terms of motivation, if there is absenteeism, if there is turnover, if there is irritant, you know, that could bring to burnout or whatever, we need to be very responsive, very, very quick. But when we go to quality or delay, if we are one day, should we involve the manager? I would say no. 2 days, it depends where you are, okay? It depends. But something very clear, please. When we set the level that, for example, it's 3 days, it means that the operational team, the engineer or whatever, have 3 days. Many times the problem is management want to help before the 3 days, and they start to interact before the 3 days. And this is a time where we gave some autonomy, and in fact we take back the autonomy and we want to overreact. So people understand that they are not autonomous and they need to be responsive, you know, very, very quickly. And this is a way where we kill this methodology, and you will see right after how it goes in. So this escalation need to be in the upper part, but also protect also the team in order to avoid to overreact, because sometimes we are overreacting, facing quality problem, delay or whatever. This element, if we had to do only one thing, it's really to be connected, you know, on the shop floor. So the tour de terrain, and you will see some of the documentation right after. The tour de terrain is very central, but I want to insist on one point. The tour de terrain is not a collection. Many times people think that tour de terrain is going on the shop floor, taking notes and being able to go, you know, in the meeting to take decision. No way. The tour de terrain, people should be directly reacting during the tour de terrain, and in fact solving as many things as possible. So in fact, right after there is meetings, but we could go with no meeting if we had the opportunity with the right ownership, with the right empowerment and so on. We wouldn't have to go through additional point. The truth is different. The truth is we can do a lot of things through the tour de terrain, but there is a need also in this to go through the meetings. I will insist on several points. First, as you can see, this is a bottom-up meetings, and this is transversal. Bottom-up, it means that this is a 20 minutes, and this is something that is curious for many people. This is 20 minutes at all levels, because the purpose is really to be on nominal and to separate what is on a daily or the weekly, depending on your department. Manufacturing is daily. Engineering is many times weekly. Weekly is enough. You know, so it needs to be adapted. But if it's daily, the decision that we take here in this meeting is for tomorrow. We should not talk about the decision for in 2 or 3 weeks. And many times we lose a lot of time by making plan, you know, long ahead and not solving immediate element. Okay, so this is very important to separate what is done on a daily basis and what is done on a weekly basis. So it means that there is daily meetings. And there is, of course, a weekly meeting, because there is also a need to cover this element. 20 minutes. In between, please, 10 minutes. Why? Because if you put a lot of time, people will discuss in between, and the meeting will be useless. So we are able to take the decision at the lower level. Yes, fine. We don't talk at the upper level. No, we were not able. We need support. Okay. So here we will go to the upper level. As Thierry said, everybody is doing a tour de terrain. systematically, and you don't go in this kind of meeting without tour de terrain. So it means that you have already your reading of the shop floor, of your department, engineering and so on. And maybe you will have some need for help. In the meeting, the question not to ask, can you explain to me? This is a question, a long question. The question is, do you need support? Okay? Please, this is a very fundamental question. It's not, the purpose is not, can you explain to me? Everybody goes on the shop floor. Everybody has the answers. Everybody has the knowledge. But what we need is really to support the team. And if there is a problem, we will take a decision. It will be at operational. It could be at a supportive team, or it can be directly to the direction team here. And you can see in 20 minutes plus 10, it's something like 1 hour. All the different meetings are inside. A key element, and please think about your own meeting today, a key element is there is no more than 2 hierarchy level by meeting. Sometimes I get in meeting like that, I can see 3, it's sometimes 4 levels. So who is talking to who? Who is taking decision? Okay, so this is really a disaster in terms of empowerment. So in terms of setup of the participation and so on, it's helped a lot to have the right empowerment of the team. And finally, something that when I started to talk about that, people tell me systematically, no, we will not be able to do that. And it was very interesting, the conversation with Thierry, and we saw in Belfort, we implemented this 11 to 12 problem solving. So it means that in the agenda, it's forbidden to take meetings in this, like, you know, on the highway, there is the stop lane, you know, on the right, and it's all the time. You can stop at any time. So it means that every day you have this 11 to 12. It can be to solve problem by yourself. It can be to solve with other people. You will not always be with this team. It's going to be maybe 1 or 2 persons, and problem solving. And as Thierry explained, there is no need to a special A to D. Sometimes you just need, you know, a simple form. So sometimes you need something more sophisticated, but it's very adapted. And people told me, okay, this was great with tools that are as easy as possible. So this is a global frame. If we get in some more detail, so here, in order to prepare that, what I could see is there is a need for some information. So of course, to be sure about the result that we are looking at, and here there is what we name the KPI tree. This is a list of KPI. Why there is 2 colors? There is 2 colors because there is KPIs that are result-oriented, like absenteeism, like breakdown, like losses, like it can be lack of money or whatever. So this is the result, not the last one, but absenteeism, breakdown, and non-conformity for parts and so on, or non-conformity for documentation. And here you can see in the green here, you can see that there is all the activity. We can do audit, we can do training, we can do planification, we can do coaching, we can do a lot of activity, preventive, training and so on. So here, and we take also, when we do this exercise, in order to set properly the escalation, to set properly the tour de terrain, we also look at the organization. What is the hierarchy? Do we have support function? Do we have close partners that we are working with? And here there is some different element that you will see, especially the 70-30 equilibrium that we will see right after. So with this, and here you can see maybe in very small, there is some grid and yellow and red dot and so on. This is where we are weak and where we are good. So that's going to be very important in order to set the escalation, where we should put the escalation. And that's going to be extremely important in the tour de terrain in order to know and to define who should be in charge of what. Because the purpose is to design the tour de terrain of each managers. Okay? So it's not only the shop floor, it goes to the services and it goes up to the direction. So up to the direction team, there is a tour de terrain. So like that, everybody knows the information clearly. And here you can see, here in this place, there is here clearly the information that the people will be looking at during the tour de terrain, the comments that they will do, and here this is also with the layout, the drawing of the different path. So if it's on the shop floor, it's going to be a path. If it's going to be in project or whatever, it's going to be the different processes that they go through if we receive the document, if we get connected with the support function and so on. So this is a different question to be sure that we are as stable as possible. One of the main game is to be as stable as possible. Of course, during the tour de terrain, there is visual management, and as Thierry said, walls need to talk. But there is also the behaviors, the way that we are doing the tour de terrain. And if the tour de terrain, sometimes people feel that you are on their back, this is not good at all. So this is extremely important to be very supportive, and the right word that we are using is servant leadership. And many times people say, okay, maybe it's going to be fake. No, by experience with this coaching, and sometimes people, you feel that they are negative, but with this kind of attitude, that change a lot the connection with the people. Of course, when there is this element that is done, there is decision that is taken directly. And if the decision cannot be taken, you saw in Belfort on the pictures, there is this board where there is here some KPIs about result, very few. There is here some KPIs that are about activity. So did we do the training? Did we respect the escalation process? Did we do the safety talk on the shop floor? Did we check the parts or the documentation that are coming? And this is really activity. And when we do that on a daily basis or weekly, depending on your activity, I can guarantee, and you saw the result, that you will bring stability and that will avoid a lot of mess in your plan. Of course, here there is action. Something very important here, there is action board with only 10 lines, because if we put more, this is going to be extremely long, and we will take activity and commitment for weeks, and after people push the delay again and again, and the purpose is to be as reactive. And if we are not able to do it at the lower level, it will go up in a different level of the hierarchy. It's very important that all the levels apply exactly the same. So like that, in terms of coherence, in terms of coaching, in terms of developing, that's bring a high level of efficiency. Then there is point that we cannot fix for the real. We cannot fix it in a day period. So here there is a 12 weeks to say, okay, this is important. Let's push in 2 or 3 weeks. So like that, we don't forget it. And here, this is a management way of the 11 to 12 with the different tool that you can use. It's A3, it's going to be a 8D or whatever. This is a tool that you will be using. So like that, each team is empowered in his own problem solving. Of course, there is it's important not to forget the planning, the communication, and also the coaching. When we look at the equilibrium, 70-30, this is a learning by experience. The first one is when I look at a lot of management area, what I can see is only result, okay? And the KPIs are about losses, the KPIs are about the late, the accident, and so on. And please take that. This is extremely special. 70% of the KPIs are activity, 30% are result. If you want to impact your result, it's going to be through activity. And many times we see only result. What is the difference? An activity is something where there is a standardized work, how to fill up a document, how to do an audit. There is and there is a planning. You can plan an audit, you can plan a training, you can plan a preventive, you can plan and so on. You don't plan, and there is no standard work for accident, for losses, for breakdown, for irritation, okay? So by focusing on activity on a daily basis or weekly basis, it has an impact directly on your result. And this is the graphics I was showing at the beginning. Honestly, myself, with my experience at the beginning, I didn't believe in that. But it was through experience And 20 years later, I can tell you that systematically I have impact like that, systematically. The only point is, what do you want to improve? What is your BIM? What is your breakthrough? What is your improvement? And when you are clear and when you do the communication about that, I can tell you with this first setup, 70% of KPIs set on activity, 30% on result, that change the game. But it is not finished. The second one is, when I was looking at, at OBIR and balance scorecard and so on, what I could see is some of them were all red. Okay? So I say, how do you take decision with everything is red? So no way. Okay, I understand. Cyril, you don't like red. Okay, and I come back, everything was green. Say, no. You need to set what is important. So the 30% is where you want to make progress. So it's not to be red, it's going to be orange. Red, it's a crisis mode, so we don't want crisis. But orange is, okay, this is, there is some stress. But the problem in management is 30 people are focusing on where there is problem and they forget everything else. And we are working, for example, on planning, okay? And 3 months later, we don't talk about planning anymore. We stop talking about planning. And this is not the right way. So we keep looking at the different elements, but we don't expect to make progress. But at least we don't want to decrease in terms of level of performance. Another one that I learned when I spent 2 years in the US and when I've been working in Danone, there is culture where the Latin culture in which I grew, my exposure in US, for example, was very good for me because this positive attitude, and I've been working also with sportive people, Ironman and so on, to see how they are able to improve their performance. And there is a not too bad mindset. What you do is not too bad. In French, c'est pas mal, c'est pas bête, c'est pas mauvais, c'est pas faux. Okay? And we have some difficulty to say this is good. We have difficulty to say, oh great, we are making progress. This is in our DNA, okay? And when we change and we're able to do 70% in terms of positive, and that reinforce the commitment of the people. At the beginning, it looked like, oh, it's going to be quite strange. I can guarantee that we prefer doing this way. At home, with the kids, up to 5, 3, 4, 5 years old, they are the best and so on. When they start to go to school with evaluation and so on, they are the worst, okay? And where you can see teams and family where they grow people with the positive and so on, this is amazing what can be changed. And this is the same inside the company. The fourth one is clean in front, sweat in front of your door, Many times when I was writing the KPIs, many times people was writing KPIs about what they expect from others. Okay? You know well about that. So I say, okay, there is expectation from others, agree, but there is also expectation from your own contribution. So in the tour de terrain of everybody, in the meeting of everybody was 70% of the KPIs, you can act directly on it, and 30% this is something that you are expected from some others. And these small rules change a lot. Two additional, and this is wrong in terms of mindset. Many times we hear you have to get out of your comfort zone. Everybody hear that, get out of your comfort zone. I fully disagree with that. Develop your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is where you are great, is where you are making, performance without sweating and so on. So developing your performance zone and also, of course, working on your weaknesses. So I'm working with an Ironman guy, and he's very good at running, but he doesn't like that much, the swimming and the bicycle. And he keep making improvement in the running, but he's also work in the swimming and in the bicycling as well. Last but not least, this positive attitude. We talk about, with Olympic Games, we talk about visualization, And this is important to visualize where your day will be and so on. So you need to be positive, of course, to say, okay, define what you want to obtain. But it's also important in the 70-30 to develop the what if. What if I don't have the document? What should I do? And if we just plan what will happen if it's great, many times we will not have the best condition. So the what if attitude, 70% is we want to have the planning, the straightaway planning, and for 30%, what is the escape lane in case something go wrong. So this is one of these 70-30. There is others, but with that, already when you start to look at your tour de terrain, your different KPIs, and you read with this, and you challenge with this reading, I can tell you that it will change a lot, and in terms of empowerment, that will have a serious impact. Especially this one, when we talk about coaching, feedback, many times I see people in difficulty to be positive. Say, Cyril, I've no idea of what positive I can say. Guys, you have to find positive. This person need to be developed, and even if you feel it's difficult, try to find it. And I was systematically able to apply the 70%, giving 70%. Sometimes you say, okay, I will not say that. Yes, this is a startup point for this person. So it's very important to develop the engagement. When we talk about responsibility, there is the different level from operational, field manager, and director. And there is 5 key elements. In the key element, there is, in all type of activity, there is some parameters. Okay, so in your PLM, on the shop floor for temperature and so on, there is some parameters. There is some practices with the standard work. There is, of course, the result. There is also the processes, audit and so on, and there is also management. What I could see in the Gemba, in the Tour de Terrain, many people who are thinking about parameters, of course, result. Some were thinking about practices, being sure that they respect the safety and so on. Some were thinking about processes. Do we follow the plan? Do we follow? But very few was looking at the management part. And here is what is a good distribution. And through experience, as I said, I was able to design these two triangles that are opposite. So it means that if you are in the operational part, engineers, operators on the shop floor and so on, of course, they will have parameters they will need to take care in their tour de terrain to know where the situation is. Of course, the practices are very important. Of course, they will be a little bit involved in management, but not as much. But when you raise up to the director level, you can see that sometimes directors like very much, the technical element, and they go deeply inside. Okay, fine, but this is very important that they take care also of the management. Do we do the 11 to 12 problem solving? Do we do the tour de terrain? And I cannot be more clear than what Thierry said. It's very important that everybody daily do the tour de terrain. I can say one more. Everybody daily, or if you are in engineering, weekly, but do the tour de terrain. And when you go in this meeting, systematically people have done the tour de terrain. This is essential if you want to be in this responsibility area. Implementation. So you know that there is three departments that we will be doing this implementation. First, there is, in order to implement this, and Lionel explained that at the beginning maybe we were a little bit pushy in the way to implement, and this is sometimes useful in the starting point. And of course, to implement something properly, first is a diagnostic action. This is not an audit. So what I do and what you will be doing when the methodology will be fully in your hand, doing a diagnostic action, so doing observation, looking at the meetings and so on, sharing some information to see how things are in order to set properly the KPIs, in order to set properly the organization if there is some adjustment to do. Then the second point is really to bring the leadership team. So with the steerco level, with the direction team, of the department, And we cannot ask people on the shop floor to apply a methodology if it's not well understood by the leaders, by the manager. So systematically, we apply it at the direction level, so the direction of the department, and they do the daily tour de terrain, or weekly, depending on the department, of course, and they will be applying exactly the methodology as explained. And right after, there is a training 6 weeks later, training with the team. And what will be done during the week 0 and week +6, it's really this ability to go and see, and with the direction team to share what they are doing, how they do a tour de terrain. It's not that easy, you know, and this is something that we need to understand, we need to practice, and we need to feel comfortable in order to share. And when you are able with a 6 weeks of application, it's a time where the team can be trained, and this is a workshop. Here, this is a workshop of 3 days. So like that, there is a KPIs definition, adjustment, who will be taking care of what, and so on. And really having this right application and setting properly the meetings. And when it's well applied with the coaching approach, here we can implement it at all the levels with the different teams. So if you are in engineering, if you are in manufacturing, and so on. Last but not least, there is the measurement of the result. And this is things that goes, and this is amazing, the graphics that I show. If we apply properly with this go-no-go here, if we feel that people are not, this is not the right time, it's important to be able to say, okay, we don't go. This is not appropriate. There is a change of people. There is a difficulty with the team. So there is some job to do with the team before jumping. And this go-no-go is important. And if this is well applied systematically, I did more than 250 workshops like that. So it was really a learning curve in engineering or in manufacturing and in a different area. How is it done? This 3 days. First is also giving some explanation, and it's an interactive workshop. So here it was with some more people. Then working on KPIs, and this is not obvious. So the KPIs is something extremely important, and this is designed by the team themselves. So it means that at the same time there is different corner that will be working on their own KPIs. Then on day number 2, we built here the tour de terrain, and everybody goes in his own area. It can be on the shop floor, it can be in the department, wherever, and people will practice. During these 3 days, we'll practice the tour de terrain. So like that, we are sure that there is no overlap in terms of responsibility and so on, which give a huge level of ownership. There is also a gaming in order to push the limit. Sometimes the team they are able to work together, but not necessarily in all the friendly way. And I was surprised myself when I was in companies. I didn't feel all the benefit, and I could see how to understand the management on a daily basis. And sometimes with a simple game, with there is no danger. We can see that sometimes people are taking the power, or some are very participative, some are not. And this is the team. Team is extremely important. And then we can build the meetings. And with also the problem solving, and we can test directly. So it means that out of these 3 days, people get out with element that they've been testing, and they will be able to apply it directly. So here there is just the final sharing, conclusion, the pictures. With sometimes it was a huge workshop. This one was the largest in Vélizy, with almost 500 people in pure engineering. And you can see me, I am here. You see, no? And here, many times it's workshop more than around 30, 40 people, 50, depend on the department. Start following, the following is starting on the following week, and result and satisfaction is arriving directly, because it's clarify a lot the ownership, the responsibility, and who is in charge of what. So Just wanted to share this experience, and as you can see, the road is never straight. You know, there is always curves, and but this is interesting from Belfort and what Thierry said. It's interesting. I've been doing this implementation in 2021, at the middle of the COVID. And it's very interesting to see that even if there is some element that are maybe missing, as Thierry said, they are very convinced and they are very applying it. And this is for me the best, because Nicolas Feuermann, that some of you see, is really, there is this strong ownership locally. And this is important, that the Kaizen can be done inside in order to improve and keep going. So thank you very much for your attendance and seeing this element. Thanks to you.